Hey there bird fans, Jeff here. Welcome to the How to Play video for backyard birding. In this video, I'll show you what you get in the box, as well as a few turns of gameplay. Once you learn the rules, a single game should take about 15 to 20 minutes. First, sort and shuffle the decks into their three types: season, bird, and backyard. The bird and backyard decks should be placed face down next to each other in the center of the play area, so everybody can have access to them. Each game starts with one player choosing one of the 4 season cards. Now the season icons you see here are going to tell you how many points each bird will be worth during the game. Let's check out a few birds here. So birds that are in a season are going to be worth the most points. So in this case, we see the red-winged blackbird shares the spring icon here. It's a little leaf. That means that this bird is worth 4 points if you collect it. The gadwall, who's more of an autumn time bird, is going to be worth only 1 point, because it's not very likely to show up at all. The black-capped chickadee is representative of our resident birds to the northwest region, and that's this little house icon here, and they're always worth 2 points. So as you play the game, you'll want to pay close attention to the season icons that are in play, and go after the birds that are worth the most points. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the bird cards. I've pulled a random sampling here out of the deck. You can see the season icon at the top for each one, like we've discussed, but I also want to point out to you these circular icons on every single bird card. That's telling you what habitat and what kind of food you need in your backyard to attract the bird. So, as gameplay progresses, you're going to have a variety of birds come out, and it's going to be up to you to play backyard cards. So these are going to come into play out of your hand, and what you'll need to do is match up the icons that you see on the bird with your decision to play certain backyard cards. So in this case, the red-winged blackbird needs insects, so I would play insects. The gadwall needs running water, so I'd play running water. This is a strategic decision you have to make to go after the birds that you want to try to attract to your backyard. It's what you're going to be doing every turn. Okay, so let's take a look at how to set up the game and get started on our first turn. So I've got the decks here separated into their unique piles: bird cards, backyard cards, and our active season, which we drew a moment ago. Each player begins with 3 backyard cards in their hand, just like this. And I'm going to keep these out of sight from other players throughout the game. So now it's time to begin my turn. The first thing I do is reveal 2 birds from the bird deck. Got the Steller's Jay and the red-winged blackbird. Next, I draw 2 cards from the backyard card deck and add them to my hand. So now I have 5 cards in my hand. That's important. You need to have 5 cards at the start of every turn. Otherwise you won't have enough options to attract birds to your backyard. But I have a decision that I need to make. I'm going to have a variety of birds in play, and I want to see which one is worth the most points. In this case, it's the red-winged blackbird, and I can tell that by looking at the season icon here and matching it over to the points distribution on the season card. So the red-winged blackbird is worth 4 points, the Steller's Jay is worth 2 points, so of course I'm going to go after him. But I also need to make another decision. I have to pick based on what birds I can actually get using the backyard cards in my hand. So in this case, red-winged blackbird needs insects, and he's going to need some wetlands. So I'm in luck here. I happen to have 1 card each of the 2 things that the red-winged blackbird needs. So let's roll the dice and see if I get what I need. Alright, a 5. That's perfect. So I attract the red-winged blackbird to my backyard. I just kind of put him off to the side here. But every backyard card that I needed in order to attract him is discarded. So they just go up here off to the side in our discard pile. Let's talk a little bit more about how to play backyard cards on your turn. So remember, you're going to begin the game with 3 and draw 2 every single turn. Now when it's your turn to play, you're going to lay down 2 backyard cards. 2 cards every turn. Now your backyard cards may stay in play. If I didn't roll high enough to attract that red-winged blackbird last turn, I would leave these cards out. And then as play continues, I draw more cards on my turn, I lay down more backyard cards. The idea being that your backyard is going to grow throughout play to give you more opportunities to catch birds. Okay, so let's pause here for a minute. I want to go into a little bit more detail about knowing what number you need to roll on the dice in order to attract a bird. So in that last turn, I only needed to roll a 2 or higher, but that's because I had exactly what the bird wants. I had one of each of its matching icons. You can see that here, right? It needs 1 insects, 1 wetlands. But you may not always be that lucky. Sometimes you may only have one of what the bird needs. That's okay. So if I turn to the reference card here, I can see that if I have one of its matching icons, I'll need to roll a 4. So not as good odds as my turn, but it's still possible if you happen to only have that one card in your hand. You can also go after a bird if you have 2 of any one icon, and that improves your odds to be a 3. So the numbers you'll need to roll are always going to be either a 2, a 3, or a 4, or better, of course. But it all depends on how many matching icons you have. This is the best case scenario, 1 of each. This is the worst case scenario, and that's sort of in the middle. So it's almost time to end my turn, but I have one more step to take, and that's to roll the dice to see if any of the birds still in play fly away. I do that by rolling and comparing the result with these icons here that we see at the bottom of every bird card. If the number matches, the bird flies away. So in this case, I rolled a 4. I would compare that to the Stellar Jay here. He would fly away on a 5 or a 6, so he doesn't fly away. He's going to stay here in play and be eligible for the next player to try to attract. Now, if I had rolled, let's say, a 5, the bird flies away. He's out of play and goes to a discard pile. I want to show you the surprise cards, which are scattered throughout the bird deck. Here's an example. When you draw a surprise card, you need to follow the directions that is printed on the card. I'm not going to go into detail about all of them because they're surprises after all, but basically follow the instructions, and then the surprise card is going to be discarded, and you have to reveal the next bird card. I want to tell you about one more special circumstance which is likely to come up during play, at least if you're lucky, and that's if you roll a 6 on your turn to attract a bird. So in this case, let's say that I just rolled to attract the pileated woodpecker. What I would do is I would discard the 2 backyard cards that I needed to attract the woodpecker. He'd come to my collection, and I immediately can take a bonus roll to try to attract any other eligible birds that are in play. But the catch is, I have to do so using the backyard cards that I currently have. So I can't play any more cards. I have to use what I got here. So let's take a look here. I've got a coot and a house finch. The coot needs wild grass and wetlands. I don't have either of those. While the house finch needs nuts and bushes and flowers, which I have one of. So I'd have an opportunity to roll and see if I could attract that bird. I did. Lucky me. So the bushes are going to go to the discard pile, and I attract the house finch to my hand. Now, once you've gotten to the bottom of the bird deck, or all the birds that are in play have flown away, it's time to end the game and see who's won. We do that by grabbing the season card that we pulled out at the start of the game and taking a look at all of the birds that you may have attracted to your backyard. So this is where those season icons come into play again. I'm going to look at the season icon for every bird I have and total up the points. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I ended the game with 10 points.